we're on the conversation about commentary. We did not talk about this last week, and of course, we can always make this into basketball. Though it's going to start as a football topic. Because I watched this whole 9-minute thing on my stream, and this is like, I swear, Discourse is getting nasty, and I hate that it's coming to a football like this. But Cam Newton had this to say about these quarterbacks:
Lamar Jackson, obviously Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, but Brock, they're not winning because of him.
He's not turning the ball over.
He's managing the game. And if we were to put that in its own right as game managers, Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa, Jared Goff, and really Dak Prescott. These are game managers. They're not difference makers.
And when you say game manager, I'm not asking you to go out and win the game. I'm just asking you not to lose.
Not to lose the game. That's I don't give a what you do. You don't have to score every time. You just don't have to throw a pick every time either. If we're going to really call a spade, a game manager is different than a game changer. Lamar Jackson.
Well, that last sentence is true. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No. And mind you, I don't necessarily even care about the criticism of the quarterback. But as we see more athletes, ex-athletes getting platforms and stuff like that, talking about, the people in the games and stuff like that, I think it's rubbing a lot of people wrong on television, because we go to ESPN, and Mark, you're probably gonna have to cut this. We go to ESPN the next morning and see them on Get Up, which is a show that launches at like 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is the way they're talking about Cam Newton based off of what he said.
Oh, this shit.
I'm just so, honestly, move past the outfit for a second. He literally said in the year of 2023, not on an NFL roster, right? So he's talking about all these NFL game managers. He sounds like the people literally tweeting at me from their basement, get back in the kitchen. It's like you are at home watching me. Just
what's even about? Wait.
In the kitchen.
Oh, I see where this is going.
So foolish.
I see where this is going. Okay.
And Skip Bayless had similar sentiments. I think she went OD, but I mean, what do y'all? Because I don't know who that is. Dominique Foxworth. He said some stuff. Yeah,
you could tell because he was going like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't think the conversation was going that way. All right, so let's answer that conversation first. That's corny because discounting what a player's accomplished. And let's keep it being. You could even do what we finally fucking do for guys like Kwame and shit, where it's like, oh well, you were asked that Cam Newton was a fucking Pro Bowler. You can say 1 year all you want. That nigga for a year was setting the world on fire. What are we doing? So he definitely has the credentials to talk football. Just because he's not playing right now, Father Time ain't lost yet. It is what it is. So just acting like he can't speak because of him not being active is crazy. This is a conversation that we've had since my 10-day contract of the gatekeeping shit in terms of okay, where do we draw the line? Played at a D3 or D1? Where do we draw the line? Playing D1 or getting drafted? Where do we draw the line? Getting drafted or actually getting a championship? So it's corny in that regard. In terms of what Cam said directly, I think this is the main reason why I'm calling it corny. Cam's not wrong. You are just literally debating the names if they're wrong. If you want to debate Dak Prescott, which I truly would, if you want to debate Tua, which you can argue as well, aren't game managers, and you take offense to that, fine. It's just sports shit. Go ahead and show them why they're not game managers. I would even say that they're really not game managers because Dak and Tua have to take their team somewhere. They're not don't lose the game for me ass teams. They're not don't lose the game for me ass quarterbacks. If they don't play great, that team ain't doing shit. If they play great, people are talking about that team winning the Super Bowl. But guys like Purdy, I guess you have an argument. Guys like Jared Goff, you have an argument. But I don't want to go too far there because you guys have to talk. But at the end of the day, nah, that I understand if we were debating what Cam said, but debating Cam's credibility is crazy. Unless I'm misinterpreting what she said.
That's essentially what it was. And I'll let Damo and Bezos talk, but that's essentially what it was. And I'll kick it off. Get back in the kitchen. Cause I ain't gonna lie, and I was on stream and I watched it. Matter of fact, I'll go at the end of it. Because I want to play his response, a little bit of his response, and then I want to talk about how she's a game manager in the sports entertainment media field.
Yeah, it was such a weird, like, reverse gatekeeping argument. And this is why I always say, man, just attack the points, bro. Like, why do you? No, you didn't even need to mention credibility. Let's just keep it on sports. What was wrong about Cam's take from a football perspective? You are a sports analyst. That is what you're flexing right now. Hater comments. Like, it'd be one thing if Cam directed the comments at her specifically. What the fuck does this bitch know about football type shit? That wasn't the case. He just had a take about football. So keep it on football. That was so weird. Like, I feel like she just wanted to get that off for no reason. I don't know.
She's seen one too many comments and try to draw the correlation of how he was talking to that. I get what she was doing there. I'm not necessarily. I mean, that was nasty. That was weird, but I'm not necessarily mad at that. I know exactly what that is. Shitty. I look at it from two different lenses. One, yeah, they're nasty, and that's how you know they don't got nothing to talk about. If they're going to just sit there and shit on Cam Newton for however long they shot on Cam Newton. I don't watch ESPN, so I don't know what was said about Cam Newton or anything like that. So I have no idea what Dominique Foxworthy said. I don't know what anyone said in reaction to that. I don't watch ESPN. But just from seeing that, I'm assuming there was a lot of sentiments like that, or just the sports talking heads on different platforms, either ESPN or Fox, was somewhat like that. Nasty behavior. It's not necessary. Discrediting Cam Newton just because he's saying something you disagree with, so you're going to diminish what he did for the game of football, is nasty work. Now, on the other note, it does seem like some hating ass shit from Cam Newton to be shitting on all these quarterbacks when you were sitting there complaining about no one giving you a job. That shit, that's where I feel like is whack. And he's been doing this for a minute. This isn't the first time he's talked about today's quarterbacks. It's like Isaiah Thomas not being able to get back into the league, so he just starts shitting on point guards. Like, yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you. My hip good now, and y'all got niggas like Halliburton thinking they nice. Like, all right, bro. Like, what the fuck do you want, IT? Like, you had a chance. Niggas gave you a chance. It didn't work. Come on. Imagine instead of crying in locker rooms or popping up with shirts when somebody gets hurt, Isaiah Thomas is on his podcast, the Little T Show, or whatever the fuck it is, and he's just, I sit there and I think about the Hornets. Y'all really would have a nigga like LaMelo just out there shot chucking versus a real vet? I don't get it. Like, that's some hating ass shit. So it is hating shit. How Cam has been doing it, not just that clip. I'm talking about the plethora of clips I've seen of him talking about current quarterbacks. Seems like some hating ass shit.
I was gonna say I don't necessarily now. I haven't seen too many other clips of Cam talking about quarterbacks. That is the general sentiment from other people that do watch it. But the other people that do watch it are the Skip Baylesses of the world. Those are the ones that comment on it. But from my understanding, all he was talking about was MVPs, how these people are different as quarterbacks, et cetera, et cetera. Oh my God, the Pacers. Hey, the wheel's starting to fall off, and nobody won't say nothing.
Usually have the game on. I don't have it right now.
But that's like the conversation, and I think it's ultimately a semantics battle. If he says he's a game manager versus a dynamic guy, like, I think that those are just semantics, and we use semantics in basketball conversations. That's why I wanted to tie it to this, because I don't know what would make you so upset if somebody said, oh, he is he gets real active and this guy's just a table setter, right? Like this, and we're talking about point guard versus point guard. This point guard is a playoff riser, elevator, floor ceiling elevator, and this guy is just a game manager. You're out there just to give the ball up in the post, run off the screen, a Derek Fisher type or something like that versus, a Steph Curry type. There's differences in those type, and we understand that, right? But in that conversation, I wouldn't think that, Mark Jackson was hating if he said Derek Fisher is a game manager. I wouldn't think that, to be quite honest with you. And so for her to start off her conversation with, let's look past the outfit, bitch.
He's on fire.
Let's look past your makeup and really look at that stale ass wig. No, I can't stand when, because he could pull his card, and he did it a little bit in his rebuttal. He could pull his card about his credentials. versus yours. And if I'm going crazy, I'm going crazy. Cam said, all pro, MVP, Heisman winning, undefeated seasons, Super Bowl appearances, something that people can't talk about. And then everybody else on that panel, y'all play different positions. And we talking about the quarterback positions. But he would be wrong if he said, hey, I'll bow out when we talk about pots and pans. He would be wrong if he said that.
That's so crazy.
No, that's crazy. It's all crazy. I hear you. And if we want to get crazy, we'll get crazy. I'll play some of Cam's response.
Oh, bow out.
What's popping? Hey, over the last 24 hours, there's been a lot of people who have had a lot to say about the comments that I made on my sports show, 4th and 1. Some true, some not so true, some subjective. All of it is still opinionated at the end of the day. I think the thing that I have a problem with is address the point that I made, not me. And oftentimes that happens in regards of athletes trying to make their point. It's easy for somebody to say,
We'll pass that out for a second. So he's talking about all these NFL game managers. He sounds like the people literally tweeting at me from their basement, like, get back in the like, it's like you are at home.
When he does this podcast or whatever it was, this is just wacky stuff. You know, like this, what, Cam, you know more football than that, right?
It's called Funky Friday. That's his podcast. Because that's absurd. When he said Jackson, he's telling jokes. First of all,
but the first point that I want to make here is this: identifying the difference between a game manager and a game changer. Game manager is not a negative connotation. Ken, what do you mean by game manager? My definition of that managing player is a player who has the ability to make the right play at the right time, protecting the football at all costs. There's times in my career where I figured this out. Sometimes, Cam, you don't have to take over a game. Allow other players to do that. If we're getting personal here, there was times in my career where I did it, and there's times in my career where I didn't do it. When I think about ultimate elite game managers, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, game changer and game manager is not something where I'm saying this person is not physically capable of making some great plays. I'm not saying that. Or I am not saying that they're not good players. There's really only 3 to potentially 5 game changers in the NFL right now: Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. Chris Canty, I was listening to what he was having to say, and he used this as an analogy. A game changer is a truck. A game manager is a trailer. A truck pulls a team together and pulls and is the reason why this team is having success. A game manager is merely a trailer that's attached to something to make it go. When I see a guy like Brock Purdy, yes, did he make hell of a throws? Yes. Is he making elite decisions? Yes, but he's putting it in guys like Deebo Samuels and Christian McCaffrey. Like that's.
I don't necessarily want to get into all of it. He just goes into breaking down the semantics. In the second portion of it, though, he does get into some interesting commentary about how those that are on the traditional side of media seem to be jealous of those that are on the non-traditional side of media. And that's where I want to get into, because I think that's about to be a rising thing. And we'll talk about it next with Elliott Wilson and Kai Cenat. But I think that is going to be a continued thing going forward, is that they see these guys, girls, whoever else, that can make their own platform, and the traditional people are jealous because they had to jump through hoops and loops. And they had to work hard, but because you had to go through a different grind to get to where you got, then you feel as if, you know, you can shit on those other people. And I think that's wrong. I couldn't, why she's a game manager and talk about, from the moderator of a conversation position, why that's all you are, why you're easily replaceable, why you work for the big network or whatever, and at the drop of a dime, they could drop you, as opposed to Cam Newton, who only marches to the beat of his own drum. If his channel does bad, that's when he does bad. If it does good, he does good. But they'll never replace Cam Newton on his channel because that's his channel, right? You'll get replaced because those crow's feet start to show a little bit more, right? Right? We could talk about that. We could talk about the Taylor Rooks being game changers. We can talk about the Generica Owens being game changers, but her being a game manager. But I think it's more to do with that as opposed to anything, is the traditional media versus the new media shit.
I do wonder how the media is going to respond to the more athlete platforms, because I feel like at some point, and we low-key already saw it when the whole Kwame versus All the Smoke beef was happening. like these players are gonna have their platforms, and it is going to be their job to commentate on the sport. And it's gonna come to a point where, yo, I thought this was a brotherhood. Like, why are you shitting on me? Like, leave these conversations to the Skip Baylesses. Leave these conversations to the Stephen A. Smiths on the internet. But you, as a guy who we're in this brotherhood, supposedly, you shouldn't speak on this shit like the way that you are. I do want to like see how that dynamic plays out, and how like people in the industry that have been there for a minute now have handled those situations. Like, do y'all know like a time an NFL player has called out Shannon Sharp for speaking crazy on some NFL shit?
That certainly happened, because there's been episodes where he's 100% gone on live and talked about some shit. I just cannot think of a player, but that's 100,000% happened. Chat, I'm pretty sure Chatter probably can find something. That's definitely happened.
I can't think of a time where an active NFL player got on.
Somebody said AB.
DK, yeah, it happened with DK. Yeah.
Okay.
Cause in hip hop, it just happened not too long ago with Drake and Joe. When we covered that situation, Drake was on some like, man, what has Joe done? Joe ain't nothing compared to me. I wonder if like the athlete is gonna do that to Gilbert Arenas.
Well, I'm about to say, I will say, it's not too many niggas that can say that type of shit about a nigga like Shannon Sharp or to a nigga like Shannon Sharp.
Yeah,
so.
That's
Not a lot of niggas that can little bro him with accolades and really have that.
And that's where the shit's gonna get corny at. That's where it's gonna get real corny. It's gonna be like, okay, what have you done versus what have I done, and who wins this moral dilemma type shit. And it's always gonna end up the better player feeling like they stand on high ground, and that's never how it should be. We've always talked about that. I'm not gonna recycle those points. I'll even go a step further. I think it's gonna come to a point where analysts like maybe not Stephen A himself, but because he's honestly, to give him any credit where it's due, he definitely defers. But maybe an analyst like Skip Bayless or whatever are gonna start dunking on players and try to push an agenda. Bro, just because you're a player don't mean you know shit, and you're way wrong and you're stupid and all that shit. It's just unfortunate in the clip. And Omar going hard on her, but I'm not saying necessarily that he wrong for doing it, because at the end of the day, when you replay the highlight film that Cam showed, and yes, it's cut up, but it's accurate. Niggas was dunking on him. They weren't dunking on the take. I'm all for shitting on a bad take. If TSO Sage comes out there and says, hey, y'all, did you know that watermelons are smaller than apples? All right, bro, they like, go ahead. But the second you're like, yeah, he's a bitch in person. Well, what the fuck? That's where I'm drawing the line. Like, what's up with you? So, yeah, I think what Cam Newton said at the end of the day wasn't objectively bad. The only argument, if you have to be an asshole about it, is naming which specific quarterbacks. Like the Drew Brees part, you can debate, I guess. Dak and what's his name? You can debate, I guess. But in general, he clearly understood what he meant. He clearly understands the game. I hope we can at least give him that pass. And I just found the way people reacted to him kind of whack. I ain't gonna lie.
And it's nasty because she said people do it to her. So if you know people in the comment section, or that's what I'm saying. Like
hurt people.
That's ultimately in the same sentencing. Now let's look past the outfit and look. Cam is just as bad as those people telling me at home in the basement, go back in the kitchen. Cam, you're at home too. Damn, you literally just acknowledged that people do it to you. It doesn't feel good when people do it to you. And then you turn around and try to pull some similar bullshit on Cam Newton, who, and in his other video, talked about his credentials and what it is to be a quarterback. Could just easily flip that on you and ask you, what do you know about, if I start throwing these calls out, et cetera, what would you know about that? And there's a clip from Paul George's podcast that I'm about to play too, because it will have a lot of niggas who've never touched the ball, played high school basketball. I saw that too. Who said that? People who ain't never played high school basketball. Kenyon Martin don't have opinions on basketball. Like Sage said, if we get into that contest, or we keep going down the line, because the next person that steps up would be, I don't know, KG. Yo, Kenyon, shut the fuck up, nigga. Shut your ass up. I'm better at the position, and I got more MVP accolades like that, et cetera. And then Dirk Nowitzki, hey, shut your ass up, nigga. Shut up.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I still disagree with what Kenyon said, but I would never be, like, in my position, I would never look up to Kenyon and say, what the fuck are you doing? You sound like a twerk troll
that's
right
what
now.
I'm saying.
Yeah, the inverse always will sound crazier. I'll say at the end of the day, we could call the shit arrogant when players do it all we want. I will give players this. The inverted scenario is insane. The guy that hasn't touched the basketball telling the person that he has touched the basketball.
Do you know?
Yeah. Fuck do you know? Huh?
I'm mad because he never developed a jump shot, so he can't play in today's league. All right, shut your ass up. I promise you. And at that point, we would just be waiting for MJ to come out and talk, right? Like hey, let's wait for MJ, Bron, Kareem is still alive. Shouts out to Kareem because he's in the hospital. But we will wait for one of them to, just get their points off. Because hey, this is an opinion that people have in basketball. Everybody shut up. MJ gonna come out in about 2 months, like on some Pope shit, and just come to the front. I do think Trae Young is top 10. Well, MJ spoke.
Trae Young is top 10, and it's a clip of Jordan speaking.
MJ spoke, so I don't know. This is what we got to go with. So it is what it is. Like, that's stupid. That is so fucking bad.
Hey, well, MJ said he'd take Kobe over Bron. What does MJ know about Bron?
And I'm glad you brought that up. I was willing to let the clip die because I feel like I talked too much, but I want to add this to the clip too. God forbid the biases get introduced. God forbid they talk about your GOAT. Oh man. Now it's not funny no more. LeBron knows fucking Jordan knows ball in every situation because he's the GOAT until he says, yeah, and that's why I'm better than LeBron. Oh, what'd you say? Instantly, man. Shit corny.
Let me play this because I thought this was an interesting one too. And I think this is actually quite true. I hope this is the actual audio from this. This is from the Paul George podcast. His buddy asked question to PG.
Easy would it be for Jackie or a regular person to understand an NBA scouting report?
Understand is one thing. To follow it is another thing.
Get to the point.
I would say the language on there is not that far off. Like we don't have special words, but like, could you understand? Like, all right, Dow is shooting 60% when he goes right, 35% going left. In game, are you looking to see which hand he has it in, which side you want to force him to? Like, are you picking that up in game?
I picked that up.
Okay.
Remember, I picked up
You say that.
your play when you do your. I don't know the name of it, but what's that play you do?
It's
When you
just
drop down?
the down screen.
Picking up.
You shake.
What if someone says like, hey, hedge hard?
What'd you say?
Hedge hard.
Edge hard. He
Mhm.
gonna cut.
No.
Cut. Oh my god.
Easy would it be?
But that's what I be saying too, bro. I'm never gonna fake understand lingo and shit. Like if that motherfucker say floppy 5 dinner, nigga, what? You know what? You got it. But
yeah, but I ain't gonna lie. Yes, NBA players have the right to start throwing out advanced terms, but I'm not gonna hold you. If you don't understand the concept of hedging hard, then you shouldn't be talking about basketball. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Like that's crazy. Oh, he gonna cut, nigga. What? He's gonna what? And I'm not a nigga that understands all the ball lingo myself. I don't know what the fuck hedge hard is. What are we doing?
But I think when players bring that up, I think they also underestimate truly how surface level the conversations like people have on social media. Like we talk about basketball a lot, but really what we talk about is surface level shit though, to be honest with you. It's about like are these people keeping it consistent with how they believe? You know what I'm saying? Like is this player better in the post versus this player, which I don't think you need crazy advanced analytics to talk to say like, I don't know, like Jokic is better than Trae Young in the post type shit. But yeah, name me my favorite set. I'm a bullshit floppy.
but that's what
42 floppy, man.
No bullshit. That's what I wish. And I feel like this is the dream scenario that will never happen. Where if players, either sport, were giving us information on things that 90% of fans will never know. The difficulties of a schedule, like Roy Hibbert talking about that shit. Like you genuinely would never know some of the stories that Roy Hibbert has, because at the end of the day, you would like it really hit me. I'm like, damn, I guess if you do have something against the law and you got to fly to Toronto, when Toronto niggas don't give a fuck about your job, I guess you are gonna wait.
Going through that right now.
So that's what I'm saying. So I wish players had brought things up like that, or they bring up even what Paul George could have necessarily done. actually acting on the idea that, hey, when he goes right, he's gonna shoot 60%, but he goes left, he shoots 30. Because yeah, it sounds good. You'd be like, all right, I'm gonna force him right. But remembering to do that in the game versus, all right, let me not get my ankles broken. That's like 90% of the world when they play defense, they just don't want to get crossed up at the end of the day. So let alone actually having the ability to remember, hey, force this nigga this way, force him to play this way, shit like that. I just wish that was more of what players' discourse was, because then none of these problems would happen. Well, I won't say none, but it'd be minimal. Unfortunately, it's not. They get to the elitist thing, or they accept the elitist thing, and then that responds with the people who are feeling inferior to respond. And now you get shit like this where Cam Newton doesn't know football. Okay.
I feel like it depends on who's having that conversation, because I think JJ Redick's podcast does a good job of players having conversations and letting you like behind the curtain into what's going on. Like I feel like JJ Redick does a great job with that, no matter who he has on there, whether it is a Cam Johnson or all the way up to fucking Iguodala and Evan Turner. Like it doesn't matter who it is. If he's on the if you're on the show, y'all gonna really talk basketball, the business side and the actual playing side. You're gonna learn some shit, and I like that. The issue is when you start, everyone can't be JJ Redick podcast. You're gonna get a lot of Gilbert Arena shows. You're gonna get a lot of the Area 51s where you're gonna get these guys with the credentials, but they're worrying about making it entertaining and real, or keeping it real. The entertainment factor versus the keeping it real and just the elitist shit. So it's really about finding that balance as podcasters or creators or whatever the hell they want to dub themselves as.
And I think, and this could transition us into the next conversation, similar topic. I think you can find a balance, and I think the balance is multiple platforms. So like people have talked about this with us and other platforms, et cetera, et cetera. I like y'all because y'all don't talk about basketball in the analytical, miracle, spiritual way. For that, I have Thinking Basketball. I have Dunked On podcast. I have Hollinger and Duncan. For me personally, I have those. So I don't need to come to y'all for that type. I come to y'all for, I don't know, the jokes about her being in the kitchen or whatever the case may be.